Okay, some of you guys have asked me for a servo video on how to set it up. So here we go. I've got it in and I've done my trial fit. And I just put a set of vice grips on the output shaft and I can tell how much drag is on there. Another thing you can do is you can go in here with a flathead screwdriver and you can see how much it will pull up. This one's not going to pull up because it's applied. I've already determined it's too tight for my liking. So I'm going to take it out and I'll show you how we're going to add clearance to it. Okay, so here's the servo, which is the sonnax servo. The pin clearance is the same with any servo. This servo just has the pin attached to the piston, which is very good, which is what makes it superior to everybody else, because there's no way for the band to drag unless you have it set up too tight. So I'm going to just take the tip and I'm going to go grind that a little teeny bit. And you see how it's rounded like that. You want to maintain the rounded part. Come on, camera, focus. There you go. You want to maintain the rounded part, because if you don't, it could cut into the band. So I'm going to go there with my grinder and take a little off. Okay, so I've ground a little bit off, and now it's time to put it back in. You will notice that I don't use the inner spring when I'm setting it up. Just personal preference. I don't use seals either. That way nothing gets worn out, nothing gets cut. Stick it in there. Time to put the snap ring on, the compressor on there and the snap ring in and see where our clearance is. Alright, I got the snap ring in. This tool, if you choose to make one, it's just a big old snap ring, or big old valve spring compressor. Bought it off of eBay, dirt cheap. And then you just take some rod and you just cut some flats in it to adapt it to here, and you cut some teeth in it so it can hook on there. And that's how it works. You can see the servo cover move. I can already tell by the way the servo cover moves, and I'm pretty happy with that. The other thing I like to feel is the drag. It's gonna have drag. It's gotta have drag. There's all kinds of numbers all across the board for this, like 100 thousandths of pin travel, 60 thousandths of pin travel. You can measure it under the snap ring here with a feeler gauge. I'm not going to tell you what I use because that's proprietary, but I'll tell you what, you experiment with it and it's not 100 thousandths, that's way too much. And 60 thousandths is probably the most I would ever run. It all depends on what type of band composition you run too. I prefer the carbon band composition, which is it's a more expensive band, but it's worth it in my opinion. And they're hard to get, so when you see them you got to get them. But it will live. Just when you put more power to it, it becomes critical of, if all your clutch clearances are tight, you want your servo clearance pretty tight, but if they're all loose, you want them all to match. Shift timing can be affected by all kinds of things. So again, this is something that you develop a feel for over time, and you decide what works for you. And there are definitely a couple different ways to do this that will work. So there's your servo video, guys.